First contact's echo. The observation deck of the Galactic Council Station Helios trembled as another temporal wave passed through the sector. Commander Celera Novak pressed her hand against the reinforced viewport, watching the strange ripples distort the starfield beyond. After 15 years of serving in the Interstellar fleet, she thought she'd seen everything. She was wrong. "Commander," Lieutenant Dex's voice crackled through her neural link. "We've got another anomaly forming in Sector 7. Celera's enhanced eyes zoomed in on the coordinates, catching the first shimmer of what would become another temporal disturbance. But this one was different. The energy signature didn't match the others they'd been tracking for the past week. "Get me a full spectrum analysis," she ordered, already moving toward the command center. The station's corridors were unusually quiet, most of the crew still recovering from the last wave of temporal distortions that had knocked out half their systems. The command center was a hive of activity when she arrived. Holographic displays filled the air with cascading data streams, while the station's quantum AI processed billions of calculations per second. Lieutenant Dex, his scaled skin reflecting the blue glow of the displays, looked up from his station. "Commander, you need to see this." His third eye, specialized for quantum observations, was dilated with excitement or fear, possibly both. The main display showed a massive object materializing in the space between temporal waves. At first, it appeared as just a shadow, a darker patch against the stars. But as the sensors focused, its form became clear, a ship, but unlike anything in their database. "It's human design," Celera breathed, recognizing the distinctive architecture that hadn't been seen in their galaxy for over a century. The vessel was massive, easily twice the size of their largest cruisers, its hull decorated with patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. "The stellar horizon," Dex read from the analyzing data. It was one of the last human vessels recorded before the Great Disappearance. Celera felt her heart race. Everyone knew the stories of humanity's sudden vanishing. How, at the height of their technological achievement, the entire species had simply disappeared. They left behind empty cities, power-down stations, and a galaxy full of questions. "Life signs?" she asked, though she already suspected the answer. "None detected, but..." Dex paused, his scales shifting to a worried purple. "The ship's systems are active." "And Commander?" "It's broadcasting." The message came through their quantum channels, bypassing all known encryption protocols as if they didn't exist. A human voice, clear as crystal, filled the command center. "To those who find this vessel, we left not in fear, but in transcendence. The key to unity lies within. Choose wisely." "Sir," one of the junior officers called out, "we're detecting energy signatures consistent with ancient human quantum tech. But these readings, they're impossible. The power levels are off the charts." Celera studied the ship through the command center's enhanced viewing system. The stellar horizon hung in space like a sleeping giant, its hull seeming to absorb and reflect light in ways that defied physics. The patterns she'd noticed earlier weren't decorative at all, they were flowing streams of quantum energy, creating ever-changing fractals across the surface. "Prepare a boarding team," she ordered, her decision made before she'd even finished processing the implications. "Full quantum shielding protocols. And get me a direct link to the Council. They need to know what we've found." "Commander," Dex's voice was hesitant, "protocol dictates that we quarantine any human artifacts until a full Council assessment can be made. After what happened at the Proxima colony." "This isn't like Proxima," Celera cut him off. "This ship appeared now, at this exact moment, for a reason. Those temporal waves? They weren't random disturbances. They were a signal, a beacon guiding this ship back to our space and time." As if in response to her words, the patterns on the stellar horizon's hull pulsed with increased intensity. The quantum energy reading spiked, and for a brief moment, every crew member in the command center felt a strange sensation, as if they were connected, their thoughts and emotions bridging the gaps between species and consciousness. "Whatever humanity discovered before they vanished," Celera said, watching the ship with a mixture of awe and determination, "they wanted us to find it. Not just find it, they wanted us to be ready for it." She turned to her crew, seeing the same mix of fear and curiosity in their eyes that she felt in her heart. "Prepare the boarding team. We're about to unlock a 100-year-old mystery, and possibly the next step in galactic evolution." As her crew rushed to comply with her orders, Celera couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the precipice of something monumental. The human ship hadn't just returned, it had chosen this moment, this place, this crew. Whatever secrets the stellar horizon held, they were about to change everything. The Digital Whispers. Chief Engineer Raven Thorne had seen her share of advanced technology, but the interior of the stellar horizon defied everything she thought she knew about spacecraft design. The corridors seemed to breathe, surfaces rippling with quantum energy that responded to their presence. Beside her, Dr. Jace Emrys, the xenolinguist, ran his sensors over the impossible geometries of the walls. "These patterns," he muttered, his cybernetic eye whirring as it captured every detail, "they're not just decorative. They're a language, but unlike anything in our database." Their environmental suits hummed softly as they moved deeper into the ship, the quantum shielding struggling to maintain stability against the strange energies that permeated the vessel. Behind them, four security drones monitored their progress, their sensors scanning for any threats. "The power distribution is incredible," Raven said, checking her readings. "The whole ship is like one massive quantum circuit, but it's not just transmitting energy, it's transmitting something else." The team reached what appeared to be a central chamber. The doors, if you could call them that, weren't mechanical but rather seemed to be made of pure energy, shifting and swirling like liquid starlight. "Commander Novak," Raven called through their quantum link, "we've reached what appears to be the ship's core. Permission to proceed?" "Granted," Celera's voice came through clearly, despite the interference they'd expected. "But proceed with extreme caution. We're still detecting unusual energy fluctuations throughout the vessel." Dr. Emrys stepped forward, his hands hovering over the energy field that served as a door. "The patterns here, they're asking for something. Not authentication, exactly, but understanding." Raven watched as the xenolinguist closed his eyes, his neural implants glowing softly as he attempted to decipher the alien interface. After a moment, the energy field rippled and parted like a curtain, revealing the chamber beyond. "By the stars," Raven breathed. The core chamber was a vast spherical space, but what caught their attention wasn't its size, it was what floated in its center. A crystalline structure, roughly the size of a small shuttle, hung suspended in mid-air, its facets reflecting light that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Those energy readings," one of the security drones reported, "they're off the charts. This single room is generating more power than our entire station." Dr. Emrys approached the crystal, his instruments working overtime to analyze its properties. "This isn't just a power source," he said, excitement creeping into his usually calm voice. "It's a repository. The patterns, the energy signatures, they're all part of a massive data storage system." Raven joined him, her engineering interfaces struggling to make sense of what they were seeing. But what kind of data would require this much quantum computing power to store? As if in response to her question, the crystal pulsed, and suddenly the air around them came alive with holographic projections. But these weren't ordinary holograms, they seemed to exist in dimensions beyond the usual three, folding and unfolding in ways that made Raven's enhanced mind struggle to comprehend. "It's their legacy," Dr. Emrys whispered, his cybernetic eye rapidly translating the cascading symbols. "The humans, they didn't just disappear. They evolved. This ship, this crystal, it's a guide, showing us the path they took." Raven watched as the holograms coalesced into recognizable forms, human figures, but transformed, their bodies emerging with pure energy, transcending the physical limitations of flesh and bone. The images showed cities evolving into vast neural networks, consciousness expanding beyond individual minds to form something greater. "Commander," she called, her voice trembling slightly, "I think we know why the humans disappeared. They didn't leave our galaxy, they ascended within it. And they left this ship as an invitation." Through their quantum link, she could sense Solara's mix of awe and concern. An invitation to what, exactly? Before Raven could respond, the crystal pulsed again, more intensely this time. The quantum energy in the room began to coalesce, forming patterns that seemed to reach out toward them, trying to make contact. "Dr. Emery's," Raven called out, "I think we should step back." But the xenolinguist stood transfixed, his neural implants glowing brighter as they interfaced with the crystal's energy field. "No," he said softly, "this is what they wanted. Not just to show us, but to guide us. The humans found a way to transcend physical form, to evolve into beings of pure energy and consciousness. And they've been waiting, all this time, for others to be ready to join them." The security drones moved closer, their weapons powered up but useless against the kind of power they were witnessing. Raven checked her quantum shields, noting with alarm that they weren't being depleted by the energy, they were being enhanced by it. "Commander," she reported, "whatever the humans discovered, it's not just technology. It's the next step in evolution. And I think the ship is asking us if we're ready to take that step." The crystal's pulse had settled into a steady rhythm now, like a heartbeat, sending waves of quantum energy throughout the vessel. With each pulse, Raven could feel her consciousness expanding, touching minds and memories that weren't her own. She saw glimpses of human cities transforming, of bodies becoming light, of a species choosing to evolve beyond their physical forms rather than remain bound by them. "Dr. Emery's," she called out, "what do you make of these symbols? What are they trying to tell us?" The xenolinguist turned to her, his eyes glowing with the same energy that filled the room. "They're showing us the way," he said. "But more than that, they're showing us why. The humans didn't abandon us, Raven. They became something more, something greater, and they've been waiting for us to be ready to understand." Quantum bridges. Science Officer Lyra Dallin stood before the Galactic Council's emergency session, her holographic presentation showing the impossible data they'd gathered from the stellar horizon. The council chamber, usually a model of order and decorum, buzzed with nervous energy as representatives from 100 species tried to process the implications of their discovery. "The quantum signatures we've detected aren't just energy patterns," Lyra explained, her silver skin reflecting the holographic light. "They're blueprints for consciousness itself. The humans found a way to digitize their entire species, to transform physical matter into pure energy and thought." "Preposterous," Counselor Zorn thundered, his crystalline form vibrating with skepticism. "No species could achieve such advancement without others noticing. We had monitoring stations throughout human space." Lyra brought up another hologram, this one showing the crystal core they'd discovered. "With respect, Counselor, they achieved it precisely because we were watching. The humans knew they were under surveillance, knew their every breakthrough was being scrutinized. So they made their greatest discovery in plain sight, disguising it as normal technological progress." Back aboard the Helio station, Commander Novak watched the council session through her quantum link while monitoring the ongoing research. The stellar horizon's energy field had expanded, creating a bubble of altered spacetime around itself. Within that bubble, the laws of physics seemed more like suggestions. "The crystal core isn't just storing information," Lyra continued, her voice steady despite the growing unrest in the chamber. "It's actively processing it, evolving it. Every second we study it, it reveals new layers of complexity. The humans didn't just leave us technology, they left us a path to follow." "A path to what?" asked Ambassador Venn, their bioluminescent patterns showing deep concern. "Evolution? Transcendence? These are dangerous concepts," Science Officer Dallin History is littered with species that destroyed themselves pursuing such dreams. Lyra took a deep breath, knowing her next words would cause an uproar. We've detected signals, quantum echoes that suggest the transformed humans still exist. They're not gone, they're everywhere, their consciousness woven into the fabric of spacetime itself. And they're reaching out to us. The chamber erupted in chaos. Some representatives called for immediate quarantine of the stellar horizon, others demanded access to study it, and a few even suggested destroying it before its influence could spread. Through her neural link, Lyra received a priority message from Raven Thorn: the crystal's reaction is intensifying. Whatever you're telling them, it's affecting the ship. Lyra raised her voice over the din. The choice the humans made wasn't just about technological advancement. They found something fundamental about consciousness itself, that it isn't bound to physical form, that it can evolve beyond the limitations we take for granted. She gestured, and the hologram changed to show the flowing patterns they discovered throughout the ship. These aren't just decorative or even functional. They're a language, a message written in the quantum fabric of reality itself. Dr. Emery's has begun to decode it, and what we're finding is extraordinary. The patterns shifted, forming complex geometries that seemed to reach out toward the council members. Several representatives gasped as they felt a subtle resonance, a gentle touch against their consciousness. "That sensation you're feeling?" Lyra said softly. "That's just an echo of what the humans discovered. They found that consciousness itself is a fundamental force of the universe, as real as gravity or electromagnetism. And they found a way to harness it, to evolve it. This is dangerous," Counselor Zorn insisted, but his voice held a note of uncertainty. "If what you're saying is true, this discovery could destabilize the entire galaxy. Species would war over it, try to control it." "That's exactly why the humans left it the way they did," Lyra interrupted. "The transformation can't be forced or controlled. It can only be chosen, understood, accepted. The ship isn't a weapon or a tool, it's an invitation to join them in the next stage of evolution." Through her neural link, she received another urgent message, this time from Commander Novak: "The ship's quantum field is expanding. Whatever's happening in there, hurry it up. We don't know how much longer we can contain this." Lyra squared her shoulders, facing the council with determination. "We stand at a crossroads. The humans didn't just leave us technology, they left us a choice. They showed us that cooperation, understanding, and the willingness to evolve beyond our limitations are the true keys to advancement." The chamber had grown quiet, the representatives watching as the quantum patterns danced in the air before them. Each pattern seemed to speak directly to their species' unique form of consciousness, offering glimpses of possibilities beyond their current understanding. "The question isn't whether this discovery is dangerous," Lyra concluded. "The question is whether we're ready for it. The humans believed we would be, someday. That's why they left us the stellar horizon, not as a relic of their past, but as a bridge to our future." The Awakening Protocol. Security Chief Finn Blackwood's neural implants screamed warnings as another wave of quantum energy pulsed through the stellar horizon. The ship's transformation had accelerated in the hours since the council session, its hull now rippling with patterns that seemed to reach into dimensions he couldn't comprehend. "Status report," he barked, watching his security teams struggle to maintain their positions around the vessel. Their quantum shields flickered against the growing energy field, barely holding together. "Sir, we're detecting consciousness signatures unlike anything in our database," Lieutenant Senna reported, her cybernetic sensors straining to process the data. "It's as if the ship itself is waking up." Inside the vessel's core chamber, Dr. Emery's and Raven Thorn worked frantically to understand the cascade of changes occurring around them. The crystal matrix had expanded, filling the room with threads of light that wove themselves into increasingly complex patterns. "The translation is coming through clearer now," Emery's called out, his neural interfaces glowing as they processed the quantum language. "It's not just a message anymore, it's a program, running itself through the ship's systems. Finn received a priority alert from Commander Novak: whatever's happening in there, contain it. The Council is split, and some factions are calling for immediate military intervention. Understood, Commander, Finn responded, even as he wondered how anyone could contain something that seemed to be rewriting the laws of physics. But you should know, we're picking up approaching vessels. Looks like some council members didn't wait for a vote. The quantum energy field suddenly pulsed again, stronger this time, and Finn felt something brush against his consciousness. Not an intrusion, but an invitation, gentle yet insistent. Around him, his security teams reported similar sensations. Chief Blackwood, Raven's voice came through the quantum link, tense with discovery: the ship's not just activating, it's adapting. The humans designed it to evolve based on who found it. It's responding to us, to our specific species and consciousness patterns. Inside the core chamber, the crystal matrix had begun to sing, there was no other word for it. The quantum harmonics resonated with something deep within their minds, creating patterns of thought and emotion that transcended normal experience. The humans knew, Dr. Emery said, his voice filled with wonder. They knew exactly who would find this ship, and when. The temporal distortions that brought it here weren't random, they were calculated across decades, waiting for precisely the right moment. Finn watched as more ships appeared at the edge of their sensor range: council vessels, research ships, even a few that belonged to species he didn't recognize. The discovery was drawing attention from across the galaxy, just as the humans must have known it would. "Sir," Lieutenant Senna called out, "the quantum field, it's changing again. The patterns, they're forming into something." The space around the stellar horizon began to shimmer, reality itself seeming to fold and unfold like origami made of starlight. Within these folds, Finn caught glimpses of something extraordinary: figures of pure energy, moving with purpose and intelligence. "They're here," Dr. Emery's whispered through the quantum link. "The humans, or what they became. They've been watching, waiting. This isn't just their legacy, it's their return." Commander Novak's voice cut through the growing chaos: "All personnel, maintain positions. Whatever's happening, remember your training. We're making first contact all over again." Finn felt the brush against his consciousness strengthen, becoming more distinct. Images filled his mind: cities of light and thought, beings of pure energy dancing between the stars, consciousness expanded beyond all previous understanding. The humans were showing them not just what they had become, but what all species could become. "Chief," Raven called urgently, "the crystal matrix is initiating some kind of sequence. The quantum signatures are aligning with our neural patterns, creating bridges." Before Finn could respond, space itself seemed to hiccup. For a fraction of a second, every mind connected to the quantum network, security teams, scientists, crew members, experienced a moment of perfect clarity. They saw existence as the transformed humans saw it: a vast web of consciousness and potential, waiting to be explored. "The approaching ships," Lieutenant Senna reported, her voice shaking, "they're experiencing the same thing. The quantum field is reaching out to them too." Through the quantum link, Finn heard Dr. Emery's revelation: "This is what the humans were preparing us for. Not just to find their technology, but to understand their choice. The ship isn't just a relic, it's a seed, planted in exactly the right place and time to spark the next phase of galactic evolution." The security teams watched in awe as the quantum field continued to expand, touching ship after ship, mind after mind. The humans hadn't just transcended physical form, they had discovered a way to share that transcendence, to offer it as a gift to those who were ready to receive it. But with that gift came danger. Finn could see it in the approaching vessels, feel it in the tension flooding the quantum network. Some would embrace this discovery, while others would fear it. The humans had known this too, had planned for it in their own way. Harmony's dawn. Ambassador Thela Voss felt the change rippling through her crystalline form as she materialized aboard the stellar horizon. The quantum transporters had barely managed to penetrate the ship's evolving energy field, but she knew she had to be here for what came next. Around her, representatives from a dozen species had made the same choice, drawn by the undeniable call of humanity's final gift. The ship's corridors pulsed with living light, each pattern a word in the quantum language that Dr. Emery's had begun to decipher. But now, standing within the transformation itself, Thela realized that understanding wasn't just about translation, it was about evolution. "Welcome, Ambassador," Commander Novak greeted her, looking somehow both solid and ethereal in the shifting light. "You've arrived just in time. The crystal matrix is reaching critical resonance." They moved through the ship, past security teams and scientists who seemed to be flickering between states of matter, their consciousness expanding with each pulse of the quantum field. The human's gift wasn't forcing change, but rather offering a choice that each individual, each species, would have to make for themselves. In the core chamber, Raven Thorn and Dr. Emery's worked in perfect synchronization, their minds partially merged with the ship's quantum network. The crystal matrix had grown, filling the space with a lattice of pure possibility. "The final sequence is beginning," Raven announced, her voice echoing with harmonics that shouldn't have been possible in normal space. "The humans didn't just leave us technology, they left us a bridge between what we are and what we could become." Through the quantum network, Thela felt the approaching fleet of Council ships, some coming with hope, others with fear. The division she had tried to prevent in the Council chambers was playing out in real space. "They're preparing to fire," Security Chief Blackwood reported, his consciousness stretched between multiple security stations. "The conservative factions won't let this transformation spread without a fight." But even as he spoke, the quantum field rippled with new energy. Forms of pure light began to materialize throughout the ship, human forms, but transformed, evolved into beings of pure consciousness and energy. They moved through solid matter as if it didn't exist, their thoughts touching the minds of everyone present. "We knew this moment would come," a voice spoke, not in words but in pure understanding. "We prepared for it across centuries, calculating the exact moment when the galaxy would be ready for the choice we made." Thela watched in awe as one of the energy beings approached her. In its light, she saw countless possibilities, futures where consciousness transcended the boundaries of species and form, where understanding replaced conflict, where evolution led not to destruction but to harmony. "The attacking ships," Lieutenant Senna's voice came through the quantum link, "they're stopping. The field is reaching them too. They're beginning to understand." Through the ship sensors, enhanced by the expanding quantum network, they watched as the transformation spread. Ship after ship, mind after mind, caught glimpses of what humanity had discovered, that consciousness itself was the key to unlocking the universe's deepest mysteries. "It was never about technology," Dr. Emery said, his form becoming increasingly luminescent as he embraced the change. "The humans didn't vanish, they evolved. And they spent the last century preparing the galaxy for the same opportunity." Commander Novak stepped forward, her presence both physical and transcendent. "The choice is spreading faster than we can track it. Species across the galaxy are beginning to sense the possibility of something greater." The human energy beings moved through the ship, touching minds, sharing understanding. They showed visions of their own transformation, of the moment when they realized that physical form was just the beginning, that consciousness could evolve beyond the constraints of matter and time. But not everyone will choose this path, Thela realized, feeling the resistance, the fear, the determination to remain unchanged. Some will reject the transformation. As is their right, the human consciousness responded. Evolution cannot be forced. We offer the bridge, but each must choose whether to cross it. The crystal matrix pulsed one final time, and in that moment, Thela understood everything. The humans hadn't disappeared, they had become pioneers, preparing the way for others to follow when they were ready. The stellar horizon wasn't just a ship, it was a seed of transformation, planted at exactly the right moment to bloom into something extraordinary. Around them, reality itself seemed to shift and flow as more beings embraced the change. The boundary between physical and energy form became fluid, consciousness expanded beyond individual minds to form networks of understanding that spanned the galaxy. "Commander," Finn called out, his form now more energy than matter, "the quantum field has stabilized. It's self-sustaining now, spreading naturally through space." Raven's voice came through the network, filled with wonder. "The patterns, they're not just a language or a program. They're a new form of existence, waiting to be embraced." As the transformation spread, Thela watched the old barriers between species dissolve. The fears and conflicts that had driven galactic politics for millennia seemed small in the face of what they were becoming. The humans had given them more than technology or knowledge, they had given them a future without limits. The stellar horizon hung in space, no longer just a ship but a beacon, calling to all who were ready to evolve. And in its light, the galaxy began to change, one consciousness at a time, moving toward a harmony that transcended all previous understanding of existence itself.